Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. So here we are, the beginning of spring. I look at this as a time of renewal, opportunity to freshen things up. And just like the flowers and the trees bloom again, how about we look at that holistically within our health and our well-being and kind of chart a different course? I don't think there's anybody out there that would say, no, I don't want to be healthy. And so many of us want to do this holistic thing, but really not sure. So let's give you some insight today. She is somebody who teaches and practices yoga, wellness, just the overall lifestyle of well-being. It's not as hard as it may sound or what you might think it would be. Linda Black joins us today on the program. How you doing today?
Oh, thanks, Steve. I'm doing great. It's so fun to be here on this podcast and talking to people about their health. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Love that you're here. And I believe that this is on the minds of many people, but they don't know where to turn. And they know that they want to make a change. And sometimes change is not easy. And they'll look at the road of wellness ahead of them and say, I don't know if I could do that. I can barely make it to the gym. The word diet, which I'm not a fan of that word, DIE in it. It's just not good. But we know we need to do it. So let's say that we want to live our life more balanced, better nutrition, better sense of wellness. Where would the starting point be?
This is such a great question because everybody's starting point is a different dot on their map. Like, how old are you? What is your most pressing issue? When I work with clients, we really kind of start with the basics and then we incorporate the things that would make the biggest impact for them and what they're going through at this time. So if it's like, I'm really having a problem with my insulin levels, or I'm overweight, or I feel like, I have heart issues, where do I start exercise wise? Where do I start nutrition wise? There's some foundational principles that we build on, and I have 4 pillars that we talk about, which are move, breathe, live, and be. And we could dissect each one of those. I want to maybe dive a little bit into the breathe part, the breath work, because there's so much of what we can do on a daily basis is at our fingertips.
Mm.
And not knowing what we don't know, it's like it's like skipping over something that's with us all the time, the breath. It can calm us down, it can pick us up, it can help us lose weight
Mm.
because of the detox effect. So, how do we breathe? What type of breath do we do? I can teach some simple things, even breath that helps you sleep. So, maybe I'll just maybe cover a couple of those today, but I love the question of where do I start with my health? And this is kind of an overwhelming question a lot of people have. In my practice, in my Ayurveda, it's a bio-individual thing. So based on what I call your constitution or your dosha, what's out of balance, we look at that. And then what sort of things can we pull in that actually will balance you and help you feel more in tune, more alive, more alert and focused on a daily basis. So like let's focus on that and get you out of, you know, feeling like you're in the curb, like you're just dying, or you just don't have the energy to do anything.
The
Yeah, let's
breathing thing is so impactful, but so many of us don't put a lot of stock in it because you normally breathe anyway. So
yes.
many of us say, yeah, why are we talking about that? What difference is that going to make? I'm breathing anyway. Scientifically proven that taking intentional breaths and exhaling is like a reset button on your body. I'm intrigued about helping you lose weight, but then you connected it with getting rid of the toxins. And I've never heard that connection. Um,
Yeah.
can you tell us about that connection and also lead us into the formula? Because I hear the 448, the all different numbers. I'm sure they're all good, but
They are all good. And you know what? The basic, this is a great question. So the 448, the 478, the triangle, square breath, whatever you want to call these things, alternate nostril breathing. There are, but hundreds of ways to breathe. But the most basic thing we can do is take a deep diaphragmatic breath. Why? Because it commands your parasympathetic nervous system. So it calms you down. It gets you out of fight or flight. We already know, Steve, that fight or flight creates cortisol in the body. Cortisol is this great thing that we produce that keeps us awake, right? It's also in excess. And when we have excessive stress and excessive fight or flight mode, it can wreak havoc on how we hold on to weight. Okay. It can wreak havoc on our sleep. It can wreak havoc on our mindset, our emotional state, our focus. So really, with all of that in mind and the stressors that we have today, like, work-life balance, we talk about that. Why don't we talk about how to mitigate that, how to bring balance into your life? Not like, okay, I've got to take this stuff out. Maybe we just need some simple things that you do on a daily basis that help you enjoy a more productive life that's not so stressful. Okay, so
I got you on that. And the cortisol thing, so many of us, because of the stress, say,
major, yes.
I'm really stressed out. No wonder I gained weight. I'm eating like garbage. Okay, maybe you are to a point, but that's not the full story. Like you said, the cortisol level has been amplified, and that's inhibiting your opportunity to maintain your weight or the weight you want to be at.
Yes, and it's not just about overeating or emotional eating. It's like really the underlying reason. If we start calming the nervous system, we can start checking in with ourselves when we do eat. Why am I taking this donut? Am I really hungry? So
Mm,
it gives us a catalyst to stop the stressors and the emotional uh things that are we emotionally go to that aren't helpful.
yeah.
We can step back and say, hey, I'm calming myself down enough to really focus on the why am I doing this? What am I doing? And being present. So being present, so many things are connected to the breath. I love this so much. Okay, so let's just learn a deep diaphragmatic breath. When you go to the doctor and they say, hey, take a deep breath. Sometimes I see people, their shoulders will lift and they'll take this big in breath through their mouth and then they'll exhale. It's like, I just took a deep breath. Uh, Possibly, but what you probably did was just inhaled in your upper chest and then you let out a sigh. It can be helpful, but how about we do that on a daily basis, like train our everyday breathing patterns to be long and deep instead of short and shallow. So if you've ever been around a nervous person and they're like talking in mile a minute and they're like doing things and then they're like micromanaging and microtasking and multitasking and they're like a mosquito on cocaine. So to speak, it's like you want to say, calm down. Your mom used to say, calm down, take a deep breath. There's a reason for that because it puts us in the parasympathetic, right? Then we can
Mm,
think better. A calm mind accesses infinite intelligence. If you can remember that, a calm mind gives us access to infinite intelligence. When we're stressed, overheated, angry, we're not thinking clearly.
yeah.
So that deep breath, that's such great advice. Okay, so how do you take a deep breath? Well, the deep ujjayi breath is a diaphragmatic. Ujjayi. Okay, that's a term. It's a Sanskrit term. It just slips out because that's my background in yoga, and
Hmm.
that's what we call it. But it's a deep diaphragmatic breath. There's chapters written on it for athletes in the book Body, Mind, and Sport by John Douliard. Love his work. He devotes an entire chapter on nose breathing. So it's inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. Okay. And
Hmm.
we can take a short inhale, like I'm smelling the roses. That's not what we're talking about. It's like this comes from far back in your throat. I'm taking a deep breath in and then I'm exhaling equally or more time for the exhale. So we could practice this by taking a gasp of breath in, like through your mouth. It's like I'm opening a gift at Christmas time. It's like, oh, it's just what I wanted. Okay, now do that same breath, but with the mouth closed. So it's like your mouth is open, like there's a golf ball in there, and you're gasping, but long and with the mouth closed. So I'm making a little bit of a
Hmm.
sound. You hear the throat, the breath going through the throat. You don't want to include the vocal cords, okay? So it's just, and then exhale like you're whispering ah. And we're going to whisper ah through with the mouth closed. So the lips now, inhale and exhale like you're whispering ah. So you're engaging throat muscles. You're engaging your abdominal muscle. You might have noticed that, like engaging your abdominal muscles to push that air out. Now we're ready to take another big breath in. It takes a minute, right? It takes about 4 to 6 counts to take that breath instead of 2 or 3. So inhale and exhale. You might find your belly expanding on the inhale and contracting on the exhale. That's what we want. It's like a singer's breath. Singers know this, and they already breathe this way because it gives them a deeper lung capacity so they can hold a note longer.
Hmm.
Okay, yes, wouldn't we want that? Wouldn't we want to oxygenate the body? Why? Because it's clearly going in enhancing our blood circulation and oxygen to a cell, and that's what we need to cleanse the cell. So on the other end of that is the detoxability of a breath. Just by taking a deep inhale and an exhale, there's your detox.
So
How
question
cool is that?
on that,
Yes.
breathing through your nose as opposed to your mouth. Now, I've heard all different things. Why do we want to do it just with our nose? I have an idea, but I'm curious.
Okay, I love your question. Love it, love it. So we're obligate nose breathers. You watch a baby. Think, whose baby have you held in the past or recently? Do they breathe through their mouth or their nose?
Through their nose.
Yes, we are obligate nose breathers. And when they're calm, when they cry, they're open mouth. They're
Hmm.
in stress. When they have a cold, their mouth is open. They are in stress. We mimic that when we open our mouth and we're breathing through the mouth, we're actually not accessing the fullness of our parasympathetic
Wow.
nervous system.
Wow. So is this evolutionary where if you do breathe through your mouth, it's almost as if you're sending a signal within your body that you could potentially be in stress because that's what we're used to,
Yeah, because when we're running away from, you know,
right?
something that's going on, like we're getting robbed, like we are,
Yeah.
we're in that fight or flight stress, yes. And so I've watched my mother does this. She's a little bit anxious. And so I've watched her walk around the house. She's like doing things and getting things done. I mean, when I was younger, of course, I'm like way old. Okay. So, and I'm like, she's just short, shallow breathing. This is almost as if, um, I forget what it's called when you breathe too fast and then you faint. It's an
Yes.
anxious.
I
It's
got
an
the
ang
term. I got the term too. And it's like hyperventilate.
There you go. Thank you.
Oh,
Hyperventilate.
I don't
Our
know
fans
where I
probably
pulled that
out
one
there.
out.
Hyperventilate. Okay. So yes, like almost hyperventilating when she's going about daily tasks.
Mm,
Us putting an extra added stress on our body.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
telling us, even though we're doing the same movement, if we could do that with nose breath, deeper diaphragmatic breathing, we're telling ourselves, hey, there's nothing wrong here. This is like we're cool as a cucumber. And remember what I said about your brain being on its ability and capacity to solve problems is reliant on how peaceful you are, not how
Right. As soon as
anxious
you
you
open your
are.
mouth to breathe, you're not as peaceful. And I really think that you're
Yes,
sending a
yes.
signal to your body uh, deep in your subconscious. When the mouth is open, there's a reason you're breathing through your mouth, like you just said. Stuffy nose, you're in stress. You're running from something, stress. You're anxious, stress. And if you look at Asian cultures, they are instinctively deep breathers. That's what they do. We here in the United States, we're Western, that we all we do, we're always running around. Well, look at them. They're healthy for the most part. They're much healthier. I think it,
Well, and they do Tai Chi in the park,
well,
which
sure.
is a movement with that breathing technique. Again, the Ujjayi victory breath is deep diaphragmatic breathing. Um, uh, we school athletes in this. So
Hmm.
athletes and their ability to get a deeper breath helps them performance-wise. We think that we should breathe through our mouth for performance. That's actually a myth.
Yeah,
Your nose has follicles in it that filter the air when you breathe it. So there's another reason for breathing through your nose
sure.
is to become,
To protect you. You got, that's your HEPA
it,
filter, if you will.
it's your HEPA filter. Yes, exactly. And in addition to filtering the mindset and being able to be present, being able to be
Hmm.
on task with what we're doing instead of mindlessly wandering and having all these to do things in your head, let's focus on what we're doing. Let's be like hyper vigilant here and
So
get the
something came through clear for me in what you're saying. And
yes.
and I want to throw this to you. In my journey, which kind of made some changes in the last 4 or 5 years, the beginning of it, I met somebody out of nowhere and we became friends. And the first thing they said to me was, why don't you ever live in the moment? You're always living in the past, always living in the future. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, you don't live in the moment. And then it took me time to process that, a few months, figured it out. I was like, oh. And as you practice that, life progressively gets better. I bring that up because I made what I think is a connection in my mind that when you intentionally breathe, you have to be in the moment because you're focusing on the breathing. And if you're focusing on that, you're not worrying about the other stuff around you. Is that what the deal is here?
Oh my gosh, yes. So let's do a simple exercise together, Steve.
Sure.
If I might, this might take 1 minute, but
Hmm.
we're gonna breathe and we're gonna count in our mind 10 breaths. So you're gonna do that deep diaphragmatic breath. If you're unsure of it, people who are listening, put your hands on your rib cage. And
Hmm.
as you breathe in, it should be expanding. And as you breathe out,
Hmm.
your fingers are coming back together. Okay. So you want to make sure that the belly, the ribs, the whole chest is expanding. We need to displace that the lung capacity to its fullest and displace that air into the belly. Okay. So your belly is expanding, not contracting on the inhale. All right. So you can close your eyes and I'll count out loud. But if you're counting to yourself, this simple exercise of counting 10 breaths can bring you in the moment. And it's uncanny how you will get to four and then slip off somewhere and go, wait, oh, where was I at? You watch. This will happen. Okay, so here we go. Let's just, ladies and gentlemen, breathe in
Hmm?
and breathe out. Count in your mind. Breathe in, breathe out. 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 You should have made it to 9 or 10. I lost count because I was focusing, but
Yeah, and you're spot on. 4 or 5. I lost count. I'm going by your lead because I was in my happy place. I was just like, this is good. I'm just, it's almost, or is it
well, and so
a form of meditation?
this is a form of meditation, and the meditative aspect of this, which is helps us continuously be present, is can you count to 10 and can you do that for 5 minutes? Like set a timer, practice your deep breathing, breathe and count your breaths 1, 2, all the way to 10, and then start again. All the way to 10, start again.
Hmm.
I mean, you might have 30 breaths, literally, because if we're deep diaphragmatic breathing, that took us a minute, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Pretty
about
close to a minute. Yeah. So it
good.
goes by really quick. It's a really good way to meditate for people who say, I can't meditate. My brain's too crazy. Okay, well, let's just kill two birds with one stone. Let's breathe and count. That is a form of meditation,
Wow.
which is, I know, so impactful. I have so many of these little like I want to call them biohacks, but that word is so overused, but like lifestyle changes that we can put in. Like this takes 5 minutes a day. When my clients instigate this, suddenly they're not over anxious. They're more focused. They start their day out right. And then the next thing that I give them on
Hmm.
their plate is like not so hard to tackle.
I never thought of it that way to start your day with that intentional breathing. My brain goes to do it when you're having a challenge. And that's really not, if you start the day right, you shouldn't need to, unless major stuff comes up, you shouldn't need to, go into freak mode breathing and all you. If you start it right, like making your bed, they say, make your bed when you leave because studies have shown it increases your memory. And that's maybe one of the reasons why in the military, you make your bed before you move on your day. There's a lot to that. All of this stuff that we don't even realize. And then we get caught up in life.
Yes, and so easy to incorporate. People get so caught up in like, what should I eat? Well, okay, let's just dial back a little bit. How are you showing up every day? The what you eat is going to take care of itself when you are present with your food.
Hmm.
When you know where it comes from, then you start sourcing right. Then you start feeling, oh my gosh, when I eat that donut, I don't feel good because you are present in your body.
Yeah.
Versus, I'm just going about my day and I'm so hungry, I'm just snarfing because it's there. And then I get home, I'm lethargic. I don't want to do anything. I don't feel like
Yes.
exercising. I'm just gonna like lay on the couch. Or I'm gonna just, cycle through
Or
Facebook.
because as I understand it and experience it, there's a chemical that gets released when you're tired. So what are you going to do? I'm going to eat more.
But yes, yes, that happens. Yes. So if we can start our day with presence,
Hmm.
presence and mindfulness through the breath, you're killing not only two stones with one bird, you're killing like a whole slew of things, starting with the breath. This is
Yeah.
why move, breathe, live, be are the four pillars and why it's so important. And then there's, many other like breath techniques that we can do to pick you up when you are in that lethargic place. Like, okay, now what do we do? I have a
Wow.
remedy for that. How do I sleep better? I got a remedy for that. I got a breath technique for that. And then
Wow.
when we start incorporating these small but very uh, important aspects, it's like brushing your teeth. Now you're going to do it every day because it makes a difference. And you can feel it when you leave the house and you don't brush your teeth, you're like, ooh.
Yeah. Something's off
Yeah,
here. And
something's
what
off
is it?
here.
It's all habit. So might as well form some good habits. We're out of time. I mean, we
Oh,
tackled, yeah. I mean, I just keep going. This is like things have come crystal clear for me and things I wondered about with breathing. And my dad, I wasn't super close with him, but he always said three things: breathe, learn to read, learn to dance. And when you're little, you're like, hey, whatever, dad, shut up. Now I look back and I'm like, yeah, he was right. Yeah, the breathe thing.
that's pretty smart.
And I think I was an anxious kid when I was younger, and that's, it wasn't like, what we said before, take a deep breath. No, he was like, breathe, breathe. Now I see why. Now I see why. This is just a piece of what you offer to change lives, to get on a holistic route. And from yoga to breathing techniques to even nutrition and all of that. If somebody wants to just pick your brain, maybe start a conversation, really thinking here it's spring, time for a change. I want to feel great by the summer and feel I'm living a balanced life. How do we connect with you?
Oh, that's great. So you can shoot me an email, lindablackyoga@gmail.com. That's easy. Go on the website. There's also a podcast, not a podcast, but something that I did. You can enter your name. I'll get your name that you went through it.
Contact form?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, there's a contact form. Yes. So it's intuneyogawellness.com. Yeah. You can connect
Intune,
that way.
intuneyogawellness.com.
Yes, and that's also my Instagram handle. So if you're on IG, I post a lot on there and I do Q&A Monday, which is so fabulous. People ask me
Mhm.
questions and I like to answer them on Mondays in a short, distinct way. But over time, we learn a lot of stuff. Anyway, it's such a pleasure to be here. That was
Oh, wonderful
so
talking
fun.
with you. You have such a way of making these things clear and impactful. And I just want to like stick you in my phone and walk around all day and have you, just teach me how to breathe. I was in legit my happy place after breath five, and I lost count. I didn't care. I knew you'd count for me, and I was just like, I don't want to come back. I just like wonderful. I was on
Yay.
vacation. I was on vacation for like 45 seconds. It was great. And again, this is just a piece of it. If we learn the habit of proper breathing, and I'm just going to say one final thing here, it's called breath work because you have to work at it. And it's my belief that everything in life is work. Making plans for the weekend, want to get a bunch of people together. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Who's going to be? It's work, but it's good work. It's going to change your
It's
life when you
making
own it.
that work pleasurable, like that
Yes.
you're in a space where it doesn't feel hard.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a down space, it's hard to tackle those level 7, 8 problems or work when you don't feel good.
Yeah.
It just is if you don't have that healthy outlook and that, contagious like habits of health, it's really hard to maintain a high spirit or a
Sure.
high productivity point.
If we didn't meet, and I'm sure others watching and listening will probably agree, we know we should breathe well. I would still be doing it through my mouth. I never made any of those connections through the nose. Fantastic. Linda, thank you so much for
Oh,
being here today. Breathe, be well, and hopefully we get a chance to get together again sometime soon.
thank you so much. Namaste.
I got to learn to say that more often. Love it. Okay, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.